Sunday is a very aggressive night of television. So many TV shows
like
come on. Where do we begin? I guess we could start with Real Housewives of Atlanta, because that's always a big talking point. What happened yesterday?
Well, we saw L'Oreal make her first appearance on the Real Housewives of Atlanta reunion show. Kudos to her.
Fifth appearance on the show altogether.
Yeah, I mean, the show kind of wrapped around this interview you did with Nene Leakes, but this was interesting because we finally saw why Eva was crying, and it's like anytime she talks about the father of her child, well, she calls him the donor, it gets really tough for her. But she spoke to abuse. She spoke to the, Marley getting her last name changed, her daughter getting her last name changed.
Yeah,
and that was a really touching moment, probably the most touching of this episode before, of course, all the claws came out.
Yeah, it was. I don't feel like it was as much drama as last week.
Yeah, they seemed a lot calmer. You had what's Tanya? That's her name, Tanya?
Yeah.
She comes on to talk about Kenya trying to set her up as far as her and accusing her boyfriend or her fiance of cheating, and brings this cookie lady out. But I mean, not on the episode, but she kind of puts her out there and calls her out for that.
Twitter. So they were beefing on Twitter
Kandi and Nene really got into it to a point where they had to mute their mics. They got so crazy with it because Nene saying you're forgettable and Kandi saying no, I'm not. And
that's the way to stand up to her. Teacher.
No, I'm not. You're not my dad. Yeah, pretty much. Back and forth. You're not my dad. Yeah, Nene tried it, but she got muted. And they apparently Kandi says that people were coming at her mom, saying that her mom goes after Todd the way she does because she wants Candy's money, and Kandi made it clear that that is not the case. That her mom had her own money even before Kandi had money, but that she feels it's her duty to take care of her mom as a good daughter. Okay. She kind of cleared some of those things up.
Well, that's that on that. Like, real quick, also, too, man, The Last Dance came on last night. I got the chance to see one of two episodes. What'd you think about it overall, Billy?
Man, let me tell you something. I was trying not to cry, man. I was trying not to cry. When you found out the story and the eerie connection between Michael Jordan's dad and Steve Kerr's dad, Steve Kerr's dad being killed over in Beirut as a form of terrorism, as a president of the American University of Beirut, it just struck me that him and Jordan had that my dad was taken from me tragically tie, and Steve Kerr lived longer with it. And both of those guys, you found out how they dove that deep, dark hurt into basketball. And me, when you start talking about daddies not being there and dying and sudden deaths, it just struck a chord with me. And then to hear how Michael Jordan, they humanized him in these last two episodes even more, with just cementing the fact that his bond with his father was so strong. He even went as far as to use one as his security guards and made him a part of his life to cope. His name was Gus, who ended up dying of cancer, but he used him as motivation. He ended up getting cancer later on. He would go over and cry to Gus, and Gus was everywhere with him. So you understood his security team was his protection. And it was so many touching moments in this thing, bro. You saw Reggie Miller could have taken him out in the last year. So it was a lot, man.
Man, I can't wait to just sit down and unpack all 10 episodes in just one long run. Because it's one thing to break it up, but it's another thing to just sit down and just become entrenched. Might start wearing a lot of red and black, man.
We are the Morning Hustle.